A comic artist ain't no different than you and me or anybody, except he knows how to draw pictures and is crazy in the head.
Yeah, that's so.
See that poor artist trying to get an idea turning, boarding? I'll go hold his head and notice what happens.
Whee! I got one.
See, Mr. Works? Kindness to dumb animals. That's what comic artists need.
I love it. It really is evergreen. Evergreen.
We're running the opening. Here we go. Back to Popeye again. Empyrean Vole is in the house. Good morning, Indy
Good morning.
They're real and they're fabulous.
I would hope so.
Who'd have thunk it? Afternoon, lovely. It's Mike
Hey,
Jimmy
Mike.
in the house. Mike Jimmy, how you doing? Garrett says ahoy.
Hello. Ahoy.
Ookla. Ariel, we ride. Sorry, I did that in the wrong voice. Ookla, Ariel, we ride.
That's a way to start the morning.
That is the way to. Well, I need to. Well, we're going to have to clip that and use it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll find that. Hello, everyone. Hello, Marvy. Hope you're doing well. Mike Jimmy says, "What up, lovelies?" Again.
We're barely awake.
Oh, my high quality voiceovers.
I know, right?
He's available for work too. Just contact us.
There you go. Oh, there you go. So you can send Mike a link.
Mike Jimmy says, "Hit me with a link, Randy." Okay, we'll do.
Yeah,
Trico says, "Good morning." He's actually up and listening this morning. Morning.
Well, somebody has to be. We're barely up.
barely up. Jake's waving again.
Hey,
Jake, how are you? Hope you're doing well. I have absolutely no plans for the day or for the show. I should say I do have plans for the day. I am way behind on my work.
Yeah, really.
But, as are we all. Officially noticed by Chrome that we are live. Always good to know.
No rest for the weary.
No rest for the wicked.
Yeah, which is it anyway? I keep hearing both.
All depends on how nice you want to be to yourself.
Yes.
Mike Jimmy, let me get you that link, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll get that going. Is Cora up and running, or he's got an invitation page?
I think he might be running right now.
We will find out.
Yes.
Here we are.
On the Indiegogo.
It's underway, and I should get, I think I'll put an invitation out to Charles, too, just in case he is awake this morning and wants to come in. I put a call out to Glenn and to Russ, but I don't think they're awake yet this morning, maybe.
Yeah, haven't heard from Glenn in a while. I mean, I see him pop up on Facebook, but we haven't.
I just talked to him yesterday.
Oh, okay. He's editing, I think.
He's crazy like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I do know he wants me to write a couple articles, so that's kind of
cool. There you go. Yeah.
I said, yeah, just stay on me about deadlines because you know how bad I am. Yeah. Mike, Jimmy, how you doing, buddy?
Mike. Doing good.
Good.
And to answer your question, no, Live on Core is not live yet.
Oh,
it's going
okay.
to be in 5 days.
I know
it's launching on the 11th.
That's right.
Well, do you at least have a launch page? I mean,
yes.
Like a pre-launch page.
I'm going to launch. I have a preview page going, of course, and I'm going to be launching with the ladies over at Raging.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I thought that had happened already. That's why.
No, not yet. I did, however, finish the last page today.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah, I'm liking this issue. I like the sea guys.
Yeah, my writer was super excited. Like when she was writing the script, going, "Oh my god, I'm actually enjoying a lot out of this." And, the whole skiscape. And then I came by and started doing concepts and stuff, and she got her mind blown. And then I sent them to my colorist, and then I got my mind blown with all the how she was doing it. It's
amazing what a good colorist can do.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
Love them. Love 'em. Yeah.
She really carries these inks, and it's a wonderful experience to work with her.
Also amazing what a not so good colorist can do. That's a whole nother story. We're not here to talk about bad things. We're here to be positive.
Yeah, don't let me draw. Don't let me color your pages, because that's what I'll do.
That's the high that we chase doing our comics. Like getting that. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yes.
Yeah, because I had sent some stuff to Eric to be colored, and he showed me the cover of it. Impromptu, actually, Varian just popped it up during the live broadcast, and I'm like, we hadn't even announced we were working on that book yet.
Right.
Oops.
That's a book that I've had in storage for 20 years, and I actually need to get a hold of the artist to tell him I'm thinking about printing it again.
Right, there you go. Yeah, I think it would help, right? If everyone was kind of on the same page.
You'd think so.
But Eric colors really well too. I like his. But his cartoony. He has like more of a cartoony style. Really, a lot of bright colors and whatnot. But
I love that kind of stuff though.
Yeah, me too.
The old Silver Age material. Anyway, I went to look at it, and the first thing I thought was, that looks like Neil Adams. Who did that? I went, holy crap, that's my work.
There you go.
Wow. It's like, Eric, it's a great job, but I haven't talked to the artist yet about actually printing that book. He finished it, and then everything, we stopped printing, and I've had it on file for like literally 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, the world deserves to see that. At this point, and
it's a solid property too that still holds up. I'm excited to go see it, but it's probably not going to be at least until October before we kick it out. So.
Right, yeah.
But hey, everybody, come on in.
Yeah.
Welcome in. This is an episode of Sunday Funnies for the 6th of June. We're almost a week into June already. Who knew?
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's insane.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How have you guys been this week? Because I've been on a vacation, so I have no idea what happened.
I seem to remember seeing a Facebook post or two from you showing off.
Yeah, but mostly I went completely under the radar, and just sat around in the sun drinking mainly coffee, not even beer, but.
No, I'm going through the after Kickstarter malaise and packing.
Oh yeah.
I still have some left there. So hopefully by this week we'll have everything out, at least for Tall Tales.
I'm really looking forward to getting that book in the mail.
Oh, thank you. I
gotta fix the payment for the other one, but
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
We can catch up when we introduce ourselves.
Oh, that would help, right?
Yeah, probably good, especially for the rain. Well, I was expecting music. What's going on? Hey, everybody! You are listening to the Sunday Funnies for the 6th of June, 2021. I am your host, Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime alternative and independent comics creator, producer, publisher. Well, you have it. I've done everything in this market that you can imagine for many decades. A lot of freelance work for a lot of companies. I created a lot of properties that had large and small print runs, and spent a decade doing my own local newspaper, collecting comic books and strips or comic book stories and strips and stuff together. And here in my local county, it was very well received until I live just a couple miles south of the safe water line here in Flint, Michigan. And if everybody knows about the water problems Flint had a few years back, and it kind of killed my newspaper was advertiser supported, and the mom and pop shops had a hard time of it, the same, almost the same hard time that everybody else has had this last year, having to shut down for a year for 3 weeks to flatten the curve. So, other than that, I'm back here on the Indie Volt Radio Network. I had to shut the paper down a couple years back. I still get people. I got a local guy here that every time I pass him on the street, he asks me when the paper's coming back.
I mean, is that something that you might bring back? I mean,
a lot of things would have to fall into place for that to happen. And that, quite frankly, here in Michigan, the economic situation has got to improve greatly.
Right.
And locally here, we had it. We always had a saying locally: "Where Flint goes, so goes the national economy." And we've seen it happen because we were the first ones to be outsourced when GM decided to run to Mexico. We were the first, during the Carter administration, just as I was graduating high school, things were getting really rough and jobs were hard to find. And I was told when I was going through my tech school, I did tech, like a skill center is what they called it, my junior and senior year in school, because I had to have something to keep me busy because school just bored the crap out of me. But they told me at the time, you're never going to get a job locally. You're going to have to farm it out somehow. This is before the internet sprung up. So now that situation's completely changed. They taught me every tool, commercial art tool that nobody uses anymore. So that's completely changed.
Yeah.
So I am a Rubylith and Amberlith master, but not anymore.
Right.
When you can do it in 3 clips and clicks in Photoshop or Clip Studio and do full color steps. And anyway. After that, the economy was okay and they were struggling and getting better, but the infrastructure never got improved. So that when we had the water crisis happen, the actual crisis wasn't so much the leaded water as much as the fact that the local and state politicians didn't want to do anything to help it, to improve it. Yeah. And so we went a couple of years with people bringing large gallon containers of rusted water to city council meetings going, this is not normal. And it actually took one of the obstetricians here at one of our large hospitals to do a big press conference with the lead numbers on the kids in order to get any type of attention. So, and then we had that, and then we had to go through an entire crisis. Nothing more eye-opening than taking one of your basic services that you always take for granted and have to deal with outsourcing that. I mean, we had lines of cars trying to pick up water just to bathe their kids, that kind of thing. So it's an interesting educational experience as the state decided to actually start acknowledging the problem, and the city tried to fix the problem. They're still replacing lines. We've had a street about a mile north of me, just barely inside the bad lead line, that's been closed for they've been constructing on it for over a year. They're working on replacing the pipes as well as repaving the street. So it's pretty insane. So our construction here is insane. And then when we were down for that year to flatten the curve, instead of having the road crews out in the open air improving the streets, everything just stopped. So,
I always found that weird too.
Don't think about it. If you think about it, it'll just drive you crazy. You can't apply logic to an illogical situation.
That's true. That's true.
No, it's like.
But the funny thing is, it is a not expected answer for when you're going to get this comic back out. Yeah.
I was going to say it's like swinging it around to the comic industry. You can't explain the industry to a normal business person because you get this weird look on their face and they go, "That's not how business works." Yeah. And you go, "Well, that's how comics work." Or
right, exactly.
That's how the mainstream works. So we're working to change that system as we speak. Right now, I'm working on resurrecting Arrow Comics 4.0. We're going to start doing books for the direct market, for the retailers, and for anybody else that wants to be entertained by good sequential art books. And we're hoping to start that. We will be starting that back up in August. So we'll see if we continue that into September and October here in a few months. But right now, we're rolling on a regular basis. So. That's what I'm in the midst of. If you want more information on that, jump over to our Facebook page. We have a link tree with the different links. We have an Instagram and a Twitter account that isn't really contributed to very much at the moment, but will be shortly. I'm getting a promotional packages together for all the different titles that we're doing. And we'll be making some really great announcements here real soon. There's a lot of stuff. I'm very excited to show you, everybody out there. And we hope that you'll be along for the ride. So, also joining me today is my co-host, Daphne Lage.
Hello. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. And I've been self-publishing comics since 1992 because I don't know any better. And I am known for the Funny Animal Fantasy Adventure Tall Tales, which is currently shipping right now. If you see those boxes back there.
Boxes and boxes.
Yeah. So this, like I said, this week, all of these books will finally go out. So if you supported the Kickstarter, thank you, and you're getting your book soon. People have already been getting the book. So, and I'm also known for my fantasy soap opera drama Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is already in process of getting like all the pieces together for that Kickstarter to ship out. So yeah, I'm gonna have a busy month. You can read both my comics online at talltalesonline.com, TAILS, and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can also check out all my videos on how I make these comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, Lage Art. And if you hear any weird noises in the background, it's because the parrot finished all his snacks and now have something to say. So
yes, that is not your smoke detector this morning.
Exactly.
Daphne is in her studio.
Yes.
Marvi says, and the motor factory was getting fresh water. Well, what happened? One of the things that made them start looking at the situation was that GM refused the water. They started pumping in their own fresh water in order to help with their manufacturing because it didn't meet their standards. So that's kind of like, well, you're using that to help make cars. How come people are still drinking this thing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Go figure. You know. And again, it was an accident that started the problem. Well, actually, it wasn't an accident, but it's a long story about economy and manager. They brought in people to run the budgets on some of these large cities, and the guy who runs the budget in Detroit decided that he wanted to charge more for the water that he was shipping up here that we were using. So the manager up here decided, well, screw you. We don't want to pay your rates. We're just going to pull it out of the local river. And it's the local river that was kind of being cleaned up over the years because we've lost all of this industry. And we used to have a plant here called Chevy in the Hole. And the reason it was in the hole was that it was built across the Flint River. And all of their paint and refuse chemicals and stuff, they would just take and dump it in the river and not worry about it.
Industry.
Yeah, industry. Well, that was years and years ago. I mean, long before everybody realized that there was a ecological system, and the river has since been washed pretty clean, and the poisoned soil has been cemented over on both sides of the riverbank for quite a few miles, thanks to the Army Corps of Engineers. So they needed something to do, I think, after the Second World War.
Wow.
So they helped go through and cement down a lot of the poison land here in Flint. There's still some bad spots, but they're improving them as they go along.
That's the type of thing that I would hear like they do with Chernobyl.
Oh yeah. Well, we were the center of the auto industry for a while. The UAW literally started about 2 miles north of where I live, at the Great Sit Down Strike at a plant that used to be 3-4 stories tall, that everybody did a sit down strike back in 36. That I think the wife's grandfather was part of. So that's how deep the roots go here. And now all that's left of that factory is a little green marker sign saying, "Hey, on this spot, there was a big sit down strike way back in 36, and the UAW actually come out of it." So people actually decided to start listening to the workers after they stopped making cars for them. So anyway, enough history lesson. On to LJ Lonsby. Will Realm and other titles be coming back with the new Arrow? I'm really thinking about doing a show. I'm at least going to do a video for the Arrow Comics YouTube channel that'll talk about the products that'll be coming up. And unfortunately, Realm won't be coming back. Realm and Dead World are no longer owned by the original people who own them, which Ralph and Stu. Ralph has passed. He passed back in December. That's a whole nother story. We do have a great video with Ralph and Stu. If you go over to the Indie Volt YouTube page and go back into the Sunday Funnies archive, there are a couple of Arrow Comics specials there. One of them has a great interview with Ralph and Stu while Ralph was still on this plane. We were able to document quite a bit of the early Arrow Comics days. It's a great interview. It's something that we're really proud of, and we hope that you take a minute and go back there. It's worth a couple of hours of listening time just to go back and reminisce with those old titles, LJ, especially if you remember them. So, but right now, Realm and Dead World are currently owned by Caliber.
And there's no like being able to negotiate with them? And
Haven't tried it yet.
oh, okay.
So just getting stuff underway here for Arrow Comics 4.0. One thing that I would love to do is reprint the first 25 issues of The Realm in color. Because
that deserves a trade. That deserves a trade.
Yeah, and we were talking about colorists earlier. With the right colorist on that, it would look like a completely different product.
You know, and, pop that thing on crowdfunding, and we're good to go.
Easily.
Yeah.
And I'm quite honestly, I'm surprised that Eric over at Caliber hasn't done it before now, because it would be very easy to do in there. All of those products, the story, the artwork is still very solid. With a little bit of, you get a nice anime colorist on there, and it would be beautiful. Great to see. William Pace says hello, funny people.
Hello.
And Jake Twister wants Jimmy to remember that you're on double.
Yes, I know. I was actually grabbing something for that. Don't worry, man.
So Mike Jimmy is here with us today. Mike Jimmy, introduce yourself.
I am Mike Jimmy de Bruin. I'm an artist from the Netherlands, and 3 years ago I decided to go completely insane and start my own publishing company with it.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's literally how it goes. Actually, it was so bad it was because of a bad breakup that I went, okay, I feel so miserable, I'm going to start making comics. Nonetheless, it actually worked out. And currently, I am running. I'm starting to run Live on Korra #4 on Indiegogo, which will be launching next week. And I am the artist in one of the stories for the Twisted Fairy Tales, which is currently running on Indiegogo. Jake, you're welcome. And I got the first page for it right here. The Girl Who Cried Wolf.
Oh.
And I'm really looking forward to getting this all colored up. On full screen.
That again.
Whoa.
There you go.
So this is the first page. This is all I've done so far. But you can find me on fairiesandimps.com. You can find me on Twitter at @and_ents with an E, because 3 people and I'm tall. And anywhere you put online Fairies and Ents, you will be able to find me and my company.
There you go. Make sure to put the links in the chat. Yeah.
Yes, please do, Mike Jimmy. Put those links.
Oh, there we go. So so Marby, put your link in the chat too.
Yeah, Marby is the Sin Killer on Indiegogo with a 16-second trailer. So sign up for his mailing list. His campaign will be starting soon as well.
Everybody's links in the chat.
Everybody's link. You feel free to throw those links in the chat. You too, Jake, for Twisted Fairy Tales if you want.
Yes, please. And it's been a wonderful time working with all these people. I'm making my comic with Piper, who wrote the script. And when I just first looked at it, I was like, how is this one of your first things you're doing? Because she nailed it. Seriously, she's made a wonderful 5-page story, and I'm proud to be working on it.
Is that the same Piper that's currently editing Hybrids?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes, well, she's been on
Piper with the cat
Indie Volt programs. Yes.
Yeah.
She's been on Indie Volt programs before, just not on this one. So maybe we should.
She's a wonderful lady, and it's a lot of fun to work with her. The enthusiasm just bounces off of everyone.
There you go. Yeah. Mike on Twitter.
It's definitely a different vibe when people are working on projects out of passion than out of paycheck.
Yes.
Not that there's nothing wrong with a paycheck, but
no, you need to live.
Yeah.
But you can see and feel the way that it works out if there's a lot of enthusiasm involved.
William says, "Wow, as depressed as I am, I haven't made comics yet, Mike Jimmy."
Well,
Well, the thing is, you have to be both depressed and be a massive masochist.
Well, yes.
Well, let's not put a completely bad taste in people's mouths as they're just starting to make their own book. Come on. Admit it, there is nothing. There are extreme lows, but there are also some extreme highs.
Really.
And doing this, there's absolutely nothing compared to the feel of holding something that you've created in your hands, even to open it up, and it's silly and and goofy as it sounds,
Right.
smell that printing ink, to
Yeah.
stick your nose in that book and go, I did this.
Yeah. No,
I can't wait for people to see this. Yeah.
There's nothing better than receiving like proofs and stuff, and
Yes.
and even getting like the final orders, and it's like,
Oh,
my God, it's real.
Yeah, I'm working on the print file for the Revolt crowdfunded book right now, and just about have it done. It's going early next week, and I can't wait. I'm eager just to see that done. This morning I woke up and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna have to adjust that spine."
Oh yeah, no, really. I mean, it's like I've been having like problems sleeping because I've been having problems going to sleep because I just want to just keep on working.
Oh yes, I know that one.
Yeah,
gotta really love that feeling. Yeah,
yeah.
Keep those artist hours. All of a sudden, you're working. You look up at the clock and you go, "Oh, it's 4 a.m."
No, for real. Yeah,
Oh,
and
nice.
I
should think about sleeping soon. Yeah.
Damn, my alarm went already.
But there's a reason we do this, There's a love not just for the art form, but a love, a need, even a craving for us to tell stories and to get those stories out in front of other people. And if for a moment, for a short time, even that they're entertained, we've done our work. If folks can be transported to a planet of unique creatures, life on Korra, or to even a soap opera situation where they can lose themselves in the fantasy drama, that's it. That, for us, that's part of that intense high. Getting those letters in from folks and going, "Hey, I've read your work. You're awesome."
Getting those, like, I'm beginning to get like tagged on people receiving their books, and it's just like,
exactly.
Yes,
read it.
And even bigger than that, when someone comes around on a convention and you haven't seen them for half a year or 1.5 years now, and they go, "Oh, you actually got issue 2 out! Holy crap! I want it." And
I am. It's funny that it's like for the longest time before it's like I was like up to here with conventions. Now it's like I'm fiending to go back. At least now when people come up to the table and go, "So you have anything new?" I'd be like, "I have everything new." Where were you for a year and a half?
How much you want? Buy 5 of each. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I had 5 new publications since COVID started. Even before that, but I had half a year without cons. So in that time, I ground up and got 3 new things out, and then COVID, and then the last year I've been pushing my work as hard as I could. So when I get back, I'm gonna have a full table instead of a couple of books and a ton of prints.
I mean, not to diminish what happened the past year and a half. I mean, there's but at the same time, I can also say with all seriousness, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to my work. I mean, it 100%. Literally, I think like the whole situation made people really look at themselves and like really take seriously, okay, what is it that I do want to do with myself? And it really like reaffirmed for me that it's like, this is what I want to do. Comics is what I want to do, and now I'm gonna like double it.
Well, if there's anything the last 18 months has done, is made everybody do a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah, exactly.
About what they really want to do or what they will do as soon as they could do.
Yeah. Because really, I have never been this busy and this. I mean, and this joyous about working on stuff.
Yes.
I mean, I just have piles and piles and piles of stuff I'm just like going through, and it's like, don't stop, won't stop.
I say I'm having to make a list in order to keep it all straight.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Did I do that? Yeah, I did that. Did I do that? No, I didn't do that. I better do that. Yeah, that kind of thing. It is great.
Yeah. And then it's like yesterday, well, for the past couple of days especially, I've been studying a lot of John Buscema and Frank Thorne. Because
I have to ask, what's bringing that on?
I've been redoing some covers, and I've been, so it's like I've had to redo some covers, or I'm doing covers, and for some reason it's like, I've always had this interest with Conan and Red Sonja and John Buscema and Barry Windsor Smith and everybody who worked on that stuff.
Sure.
And there was just like it kind of hit me that there was like, if you really like, there's such a huge difference between how covers, especially, even the interior pages, but I was mostly just studying the covers. Like, what made their covers stand out so much than what I'm seeing now? And it's kind of like now it's more about like everything's more like a pinup or something. And I just was like, no, it's like, there's something more about this. What is it? What's John Buscema doing differently? And the funny thing is, like, unlike, it's like, because like Russ, it's like, he studies John Buscema to kind of like imitate the style. And I'm more like studying John Buscema to imitate the vibe. So
it's you're really close to the same thing there,
right? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of,
it's not really the drawing style, but the composition, right. The look, the angles, right. the because nowadays you look at comics and it's art. I'm not denying some of them are incredibly well done pieces of art, but back during the Conan days, when Marvel first had Conan, you go back and look at those first 100 covers.
Yeah.
And almost every last one of them is iconic.
Yeah. Really.
They were designed to be looked at even quickly on the newsstand and to have it burn into the back of your brain about what the story was about, what the main bit of action was. I can still see in my head the King Kull, Marie Severin.
Right.
Illustration cover that she did for By This Axe I Rule, that just with him standing there, there isn't really hardcore action going on, but he's standing there majestically with an axe with a couple of bodies. I can't remember if they were alive or dead, sprawled around him, but I can still remember that cover. There's so much. And John Buscema also had it to the point where it was instinctual. Same thing with Joe Kubert. He could sit there and design a cover. I would really be interested in seeing how fast they actually did it, because it gets to a point where you're just, I need to do this and this and have it look like this. Well, this view is going to look the best, and to sit there and run a couple of quick thumbnails and then start working on the original, because you had to have it done.
Memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys and girls back then, ladies, we're doing it so fast that it had to become instinctual.
Yeah.
You go back even at the Ramona Fradon Metamorpho books, are just amazing to sit there and stare at. I haven't looked at Frank Thorne in quite a while, but he's one of those artists that I could never stand when I was a kid. And
but that's the funny thing. A lot of these artists I couldn't stand when I was younger. Like, only now am I really like really, there are some things that you really do have to be older to appreciate.
Yes. Yep.
Because you don't understand it when you're younger, because now it's like, what is it that these guys are doing? It's like yeah.
Well, it's a reason why they were hired. There's a reason why they did what they did and why they looked the way that they looked. And it's just really fascinating to sit there and study it.
Yeah.
And Kirby's the same way. If you want to learn superhero dynamics, if you're going to do a superhero book and you're not looking at Kirby, you're missing. You're missing out completely, because everybody else came in after that. If you want to look at mood and feeling, you go in and look at Wally Wood's material.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to do composition and trim down work to just stark black and white, you go and look at Frank Thorne, you look at Frank Robbins, you look at Alex Toth, look at Lee Elias, and just marvel at their, not just the quality of the work, but the style, the actual style that was there, their style of artwork. Jim Aparo is another one. A big time workhorse, always working, penciled and inks and sound effects. Just amazing combination of all of that, telling an incredibly tight story, in especially his run in Brave and the Bolds, or his Phantom Strangers are always stand out in my mind for that kind of work. You want to learn how to ink, go look at Jim Aparo. Look at the guys that don't regularly come to mind real fast, but were around for decades, working constantly. Nick Cardy has I believe Tomorrow's has a beautiful book out by Nick Cardy. You want to learn cover composition, take a look at Nick Cardy's work, because a lot of that is very iconic. He has his very own unique style to his work, and it gets dark sometimes, but his composition is just phenomenal. as far as a cover look and guiding your eye composition across that cover page. Just phenomenal work.
Yeah. Because it's like, because that was the thing that, like especially nowadays, like everybody is all about the pinup and and you don't really get a sense of what's inside the book, which is kind of like what I don't know if I miss, because that implies that I would be looking for mainstream comics, which I don't. But that's, I want the cover to like appeal to people's curiosity as to what the book is, as opposed to like doing some kind of like, flowy haired pinup on the cover.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the modern mainstream market has narrowed down to that variant cover chase and that slabbing. So they're not really too concerned about the interior of the book as much as who they're going to get to do a variant cover in order to encourage that retailer to go out and buy those 25 copies just to get that one copy of the variant that they can sell in order to try to recover the cost for having to buy the previous 25 copies.
Which is just sad.
No, it's the way the market has eroded, the mainstream market has eroded into, at least here in the United States. It's such a sad state of affairs where you're looking at the spine of the book more than you're looking at the interior and enjoying the story.
Yeah, because I mean, these are some of the pieces that I've been working on, and it's like even now looking through them, it's like, oh, these are like really different than what I'm used to for myself, because of studying all this work, and like I said, like all of these is about like, these are all covers, and it's about telling a story with one piece, without it looking, it's like, and that's the goal. It's like telling a story with the cover so that people go, well, what's the rest of it? What's going on here? So this is one, this one's for Eagle Raven. This one's for Tall Tales that I showed on another stream. And the trick was too, is that even when things aren't all action adventure-y, the goal also is to still make the image interesting. So this is another piece for Eagle Raven, which is like a court scene. And just because there's no like running, skipping, jumping in the piece, it's like the goal for me was to make it interesting, still interesting enough compositionally that people like going, what's going on in that piece. And this last one here is kind of also another thing too. It's like kind of taking the pinup idea, but still trying to make it visually a storytelling piece. So that's what that's what I've been like, one of the many things I've been up to lately, which is why I'm not getting any sleep here.
Well, that's actually a very interesting one, and that, I have two variant covers for Love and Korra, number 4, where it's essentially the same scene. So you got the one main cover by myself, my colorist. Then you have Nina Aberline, who has a Fibonacci sequence kept into the whole thing, and then I got these earlier this week. These are the original pencils by Rich Parada for his variant, which is still the same scene essentially, but he's putting so much motion into a single frame that it catches a lot more eye. While it's really just the same, That's
gonna look hot in color.
Oh man, like, he still has to ink it. He's gonna ink it digitally, and then my colorist is gonna go over it to keep to the same kind of feeling. But I'm looking forward to seeing that come to life. It's oh my god, it's gonna be awesome. But that's also a lot more years in comics.
Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Joe.
What? We obviously missed something.
Oh, sorry, I was muted there. William says, "Hey, cracks about masochistic sex life."
Well,
it's similar to doing comics, I would guess.
Yes,
Marvy says, "I'm going to get so drunk." I got a bottle of French champagne that my neighbor gave to me to open when he launches the campaign. That's great.
There you go.
That's awesome.
We have
I'll
to
cheers to
celebrate
that,
our
mate.
victories. Yeah.
Heyo,
I'll
Patrick
cheers
says.
to that.
Yeah.
William says, I have a new original piece of Joker art from Mike Jimmy, and it's amazing.
There you go.
Yeah, you did. I did a emergency commission stream with William, and he suggested I do a Joker to just have something to draw when for when commissions would roll in, and some did. And he was like, "So how much for that Joker piece?" And I'm like, "How much would the shipping be?" I'm like, "Well, that's €30, so about $35."
Yeah.
And I sent it over, and it came in like Friday. I sent him a Love and Korra pack as well, and there was a lot of oh shit, oh shit. Because
is that good or bad?
Yes, that was a good one.
Okay.
I gave him one of the Indiegogo exclusive variants, so he was
go.
very happy about that.
Marvy has to take off. Sorry, Marvy. We'll see you later.
See you later, Marvy.
And for everybody, we are archived over on YouTube, so you don't have to listen to us live. Most of our listeners don't listen to us live unless they're on the radio or across the world, like Mike Jimmy is in the middle of their afternoon.
That's true, yeah.
Or early in their evening, or late at night, depending upon where you are in the world. We appreciate all of our radio listeners out there. I don't have our numbers in front of us because Varian hasn't gotten out of bed, so apparently.
And yes, Frog G, there are Love and Korra 4 previews. I hope your copies arrived safely. I think they should have, and nothing was bent or anything, because they do care about that.
Right? Yeah.
Well, here in Michigan, everything goes through Pittsburgh. Here in Michigan.
Yes. Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. Even in New York, everything goes through Pittsburgh.
Oh yes.
There's something about Pittsburgh.
Speaking of things not arriving safely, the piece that I showed you just now, that was bent double and shoved into my mailbox, and it had been in there for a couple of days.
Oh yeah,
I was furious. Yeah. First of all, I'm glad that the thing itself wasn't ripped,
right?
But yeah, not cool with the post office right now.
No, really.
Frog G says my copies have arrived safely.
There you go.
Awesome.
They're in great
really
condition.
Glad to hear that.
He also said, "Hail all, hail Frog."
Hail Frog.
How you doing? Patrick says, "Hey yo."
Hey.
That is Pops. That's Pop Van Zandt.
Oh, I should have known.
That's his real name.
Oh,
that's the last name. Yeah. Hey, Pops, hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I know he said he was taking a vacation, so.
Oh, he might be then. He might be calling us or typing in from his phone. Yeah. William Pace says, "Love those Conan magazines." Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an entire era there of overly macho male barbarian characters that I miss greatly. Nothing matches to me Killraven back that Marvel did through Amazing Adventures. It really spiked my interest in War of the Worlds in general through that comic. And it's an amazing comic too, because it changes hands quite often in its short run, and every time it changes hands, it greatly changes direction. So it starts out with Neil Adams, Krusty Bunkers, straightforward kind of a Conan in the future tale. Then George Tuska comes in, and it gets real wacky with large rat men and ravenous rats and crazy things happening. And then Don McGregor comes in and decides he's going to write the character. And P. Craig Russell comes in and decides he's going to draw the character. And it turns into an amazing bit of sequential art that I think rates right up there with the best of them. So it's a fascinating property. And then Marvel kills the book because of lack of sales. And then later on, other people try to bring back that same taste of what the property was about and just don't quite make it.
They don't. Yeah, it's kind of like because like I think who's printing like Red Sonja now? Dynamite, IDW. Yeah. I don't know. They're all kind of like,
Dynamite. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of like, I don't know, there's just something missing, and I really do think that the Conans, I mean, it and the Red Sonjas that we grew up with, I mean, they really were a part of their time.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's like I don't know what's missing. I don't know whether it's just the beefiness of the artwork or something, or
Beefcake, cheesecake,
beefy. Yeah, it's beefy.
Yes.
Yeah. Big.
Bulky,
Yeah.
stretch.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like I can't put my finger on what's missing. Like what is it that? But then again, it's like, if we could, then everybody could be John Buscema. Everybody could be Barry Windsor Smith, and there's only one. So there's only one John Buscema, one Barry Windsor Smith. One.
Well, even Barry Windsor Smith has come. The Barry's latest work isn't Conan.
That's true
it's
too.
Very much a slice of life work that
Yeah.
is something he's always wanted to do. It's over 300 pages long, so it's something he's been working on for quite a while. But there's a lot to be said for what we would consider to be the classics.
Right. Yeah.
The first 25 Conans, the first 100 Conans, really the evolution of that character. It's just it's fascinating. But the written prose that Howard did on the evolution of that character was also really fascinating. So to sit there and reread those stories, just about everything Howard has written is available on audiobook off of YouTube or other places.
Cool, yeah.
So and to re-listen to those stories again, it's just you sit there and marvel. Growing up, we were always told the pulp magazines and the whole pulp era of heroism and all that. There was a lot of schlocky trash and just the same type of stuff that you hear about comics being kiddie literature.
Right. Yeah.
And you go back and you listen to those stories and you see how tight the structure was and the verbiage that Conan used. If you ever saw Whole Wide World, there's a D'Onofrio plays Howard in that, and almost hits that point where you can actually see Howard reenacting the story as he's typing it. And
so what's that called? Because you had me at D'Onofrio. Hold on.
Yeah, it's an independent film. It does tend to be dry, and there's a lot of Howard fans that dispute that that's a accurate depiction of how Robert E. Howard was. But D'Onofrio, Whole Wide World. D'Onofrio, plays Robert E. Howard, and I can see her. Trying to think of who it is. Both of them, it was one of their first acting gigs, and they both just do beautiful work in it.
Right.
And even if the story isn't true, it's based off of her memoirs of her relationship. Can't really call it a romance, but her relationship with Howard.
Right.
Renee Zellweger.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, yeah. Definitely got to look this up then.
And the movie is really it has a tendency to be dry. It's a biographical piece. But if you're into pulp writing and that kind of thing, and to see how they portrayed Howard, which isn't actually accurate, but you can see they're trying to reenact it, that Howard was running on a different level, and it's obvious that he was when you look at the material that he wrote. That growing up in a flat plains land, with a family and having to deal with real life, really sparked that imagination into going into completely different worlds, completely different directions. It's just a fascinating movie, even if it isn't accurate. So. But that whole subject really fascinates me. And you were talking about looking at cover works. I have a couple of books about the early pulp magazine paintings that were done, because that's a whole different art form that of merchandise that was sitting on the stands that was made to be saleable. There's a lot of tropes. There's the sharp stick in the eye. There's the half-dressed girl. There's the guns a blazing and that kind of the action and adventure scene. But a lot of that stuff is
the ripped shirts,
everything, beefcake, cheesecake, all over again.
Something for everybody.
Really, the Conan comics and a lot of those comics in the 70s of the Barbarians work were just right out of those pulp magazines. A lot of the science fiction was too. And it's very fascinating to sit and look at a lot of those covers, that the work that was so well done, and it was so dismissed in later years. Just now we're starting to look back at it like I was doing with the Howard stories and going, there's really a high level of quality here, especially considering the fact that these guys were cranking, people in general, were cranking this material out constantly as fast as they could in order to get it done, getting next to nothing page rate, just like comics, comics nowadays, even you're just cranking it out in order to get a base page rate in order to try to survive, to try to pay your bills, to put food on the table for your family or whatever, because that's what you love doing and that's what you want to do. You want to make a living at it, you want to do it. So if suddenly you're getting paid $5 less a page, you just take it and you do it and you deal with it, and that kind of thing. Where now you're starting to see that boat slowly turn around, especially with crowdfunding, especially with trying to grow this market out so that more people look at the independent and comic alternative works. Just sequential art in general is starting to pick back up, especially thanks to the silly movies that keep coming out. And as more of those come out, the more people are going to start going, oh, that's off of a comic book. What's a comic book?
Yeah. That's, I think that's the reason why I really want conventions. I'm looking forward to conventions again, so we can remind people what comic books are.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I think we can do all the time. And that's something I really learned doing the newspaper here. I did it for 10 years, did 100 issues, but it took a little while for folks to catch on that there was actually a funny paper that you can go in and pick up once a month, just at your local restaurant or wherever the free magazines you find them, or we had little boxes all around town. But once we got that following, and once they realized that it was there, we had people following stories, and I was reprinting, Flash Gordon and Prince Valiant and that kind of thing, which are really classic adventure strips that you never see anymore.
I mean, because
it's rare if you could even get a collection. Yeah.
I mean, you had sent me samples of that thing, and it was just like, I opened up the paper and I was like immediately hooked. Like if this was something that I could find locally, I mean, I would have been, fiending for it and hunting it down too, because there's just something about opening that paper up and seeing all those comics and just like, it's like, I don't know, there was just something about it.
We definitely built up a following, but it really showed me that sequential art, if it's accessible out there to people, you gain that audience, you gain that entertainment. People realize there's entertainment there, and then they really start following you. And I would get calls. I ran my an advertisement for my commercial art business where I had my phone number in every issue, and I'd get calls from people wanting to know where the next issue was if I was just a day late. So if you go back on our Facebook page, and I've left the Facebook page sitting up there, you could go and scroll back through the timeline and see I'm constantly going, it's in production, it's going to the printer, it's out of the printer, it's gone to the distributor, it's out on the stand.
Minute updates.
Just to keep that from happening.
That's awesome.
Was incredibly awesome. It really reinstilled my love for this art form. It's like, well, if it's accessible out there, people are going to read it and enjoy it, be entertained by it, and start craving it, especially if you can deliver it on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's
a big key.
Accessibility really is a big deal, because like that's the reason why the whole slabbing and grading craze that's going on right now is kind of irksome, because it's just another way to separate comics from the masses, because now it's like it's being separated as an investment piece rather than something you actually enjoy. And we watch YouTube of videos of these guys who are into that and whatnot, and it's just kind of weird seeing the separation they have for, like, I guess, the love of the work, and then it's like, oh, but this is an investment piece.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like if you are not familiar with it, and this is the type of thing you're coming across, you're like, oh, well, you know, comics, I mean, who's that for? You know, it's like I don't have $90 to spend on, you know, a CGC graded book that I can't even read. What is that?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a funny thing about that is that, I mean, that's still true here in the Netherlands, where the biggest magazine that we have is a Donald Duck magazine that's weekly. Costs only €3 to get at your supermarket, at your bookstore, you know, anywhere. And, you know, they ship over 100,000 copies in the Netherlands alone every week.
Amazing. Yeah.
You know, and people just want to read it. They want to be entertained. They love sitting down with a funny book.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the exact type. Yeah, because those books were big in Brazil too. It's like those Walt Disney books and the, you know, the Donald Duck ones, and they're like digest size, and you could buy them at any newsstand. And that's exactly what I remember.
Unfortunately, here that got narrowed down to Archie, and then it was the same thing over and over again. I've had recently, I've had some talks with a few friends of mine. One guy, Jason, ran across at a it's not really it's not an antique store, it's not really a junk shop, it's more like a collectibles flea market type area. He picked up a sugar and spike digest. So I never knew these existed, and I'm like, yeah, well, you know, here's what 6 other ones look like, because I love this stuff. But you never see it come out anymore, you know. Never. You don't see those collections, and they were accessible at newsstands, on magazine racks, racks, but very few magazine racks are even around anymore. Barnes and Nobles just cut out all of their magazines.
Oh yeah. Now it's all Funko Pops. And that was like the saddest thing. I went to Barnes and Noble. There's just a whole section of Funko Pops, and it's like, oh boy, sign of the time.
Yeah.
Well, they took their vinyl section and CDs and DVD section they had at the local Barnes and Noble, all got turned into a media outlet,
right?
Like a media center. Every tchotchke, backpack, whatever, thermos, lunchbox, and all of that. But there's only like 4 book racks.
Yeah, really. It's like
they have great showcases.
Books.
Lining it with statues of every anime character that they can get their hands on. And out of those 4 book racks, 2 of them at least are manga.
Yeah.
And then the other 2, one side of one may be independent, and then one's Marvel, and maybe DC has another side, or DC and the other bigger independents have one side. It's just crazy when you sit there and look at it. These books ought to be read and loved and enjoyed, but even Marvel and DC don't even come out with accessible.
Right? No, they don't. Everything is like a $90
mass market editions,
and $90 ultimates or something.
But they've totally given up as corporations. They think that print is dead. They don't need to put. They figure they don't need to put that stuff out.
That's a corpse that's been dying for the past 50 years.
Yeah, and that's literally right. Ever since the Code Authority kicked in, and they labeled comics as kid stuff here in the States, it's been slowly dying. So, but once the direct market kicked up, there was more money. There for the corporations. They started doing books specifically for the direct market, and then everything swung over to the direct market. So, and they got rid of those racks.
Yeah, there was one thing that you had said that you repeatedly say. That's like, when I first heard you say it, I was kind of a little, like, irked by it. But the thing is, the more I look at my collection, the more it's like, oh yeah, he's right. When you said that people are so desperate for entertainment that we're teaching ourselves to read backwards.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, like it rubbed me wrong the first way the first time you said it, but then it's like, I just bought like a stack of Zelda mangas, and it's like, oh wait, no, Randy's right. Wait.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though, is that they're that entertaining, and people are that starved for entertainment, especially sequentially. Yeah. I just picked up a phenomenal Nausicaa boxed set, hardback volume, beautiful. Yeah, you got to read it in reverse.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, and then I'm like, I start reading it, and suddenly it's so easy. Once you figure out how to do it. But how easy is it going to be, especially for the kids, to keep flipping back and forth,
Right.
And it's such a shame. I have the same theory about country music, but that's a whole
Oh.
other. MTV stopped playing music, and CMT and a few other video channels kept playing country music videos, and suddenly Shania Twain and Garth Brooks got to be really hot, and they were sitting there going, we don't understand how the big surge in country music is. Well, here in the States, bringing that back to comics, Marvel, DC, direct market narrows everything down to a silly demographic study that they did who knows when about how their main customer base is a 25 to 55-year-old, mostly white male. That's all that they catered to. So, of course, the markets that have been left out of that are out looking, starving for other entertainment. So they find it in manga. Suddenly fruit baskets just explodes.
Yeah. It's
Ranma
just
one half
the different
explodes.
stories. Yeah, it's just the different types of stories. Like
Yes.
I've made this joke before that manga as an industry, they go, oh, you can read all the comics you want. And mainstream American comics go, oh, you can read all the comics you want as long as it's superheroes.
Yeah.
Which kind of, as someone who is not a fan of superheroes, that completely leaves me out of the loop.
And then ElfQuest and Cerebus and like a lot of the material that was out during the 80s, during the black and white days, 80s and 90s, all become stray unicorns. Bone is an amazing phenomenon when the Bone was aimed at an all ages audience telling a great all ages story. So it attracted an all age customer base, even though Scholastic came in, picked it up.
Right. Yeah. I was about to
and
say,
basically started pushing it for kids. The story there is universal. It's evergreen, just like a lot of these adventure strips that are out and that you never see around anymore. If you catch an adventure strip collection or something like a Tintin that can still stay around for decades or eternity, constantly evergreen, enjoyable story, adventure story that you can sit and read to your great grandkids if you want.
That's part of the accessibility. I mean, it's like just because a story, because it's the accessibility thing that it's like where anybody can pick up the story and pick up the book and kind of project themselves into the story. And even though comics, it's like we're all doing different types of comics and different types of moods and tones, and it's like I kind of like to like with my book, like Tall Tales is more like action adventure, Eagle Raven's the drama. And it's like, and although they're not specifically for children, we still want, it's like we still want the story to kind of be accessible,
right?
Where it's like anybody can read it and go, it's like, okay, well, even though the main character is a fox or the main character is a woman, I can still get into the story.
Yes.
And it's like, and
or the main character is a crazy species,
right? Exactly.
Well, I mean,
right. Exactly. That lives in the water and oh wait, there was this book that I wanted to show you, Mike. That what Life on Korra reminded me of.
Always interested.
Conceptually.
Of course.
Life on Korra. So. This is right. Yes. So this is the book that your the Life on Korra reminded me of. So it's like this is literally speculative evolution,
speculative zoology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like so it's Dougal Dixon, and the illustrations in here are just and so it's like he's really talking about like all these different landscapes and how these creatures supposedly evolved. Or like I say, it's all speculative. It's not like
no, but
excuse me, it's not like
that was exactly the hook that drew me in as well. And it actually took me until the end of Love and Korra 2 where I realized like this is the thing I want to go towards, know. And I went a lot. If you go on YouTube, the Biblaridian, he does a wonderful speculative biology series where he goes from exactly
right down to the skulls.
Right, exactly. Like he just goes all ham in this book.
But like there's this YouTuber who will start with the base body plan of creatures, and he slowly builds up their entire how they would evolve and what kind of species would come from those body plans, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's, you thank you.
The parrot agrees.
You have to be able to sit through a very boring, very monotone voice, but the amount of information in those 50-minute videos is absolutely insane if you're into that kind of things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because I think that the monotone and whatnot, it's supposed to like imitate the whole academic.
Yes.
Scientific realm of so it's like he's really going all out in in creating this I guess that environment of
and then he gets all kinds of artists on board as well. So when when he thinks up a certain species, then he's got a gigantic Discord server where he puts in fan art of those creatures through the entire video. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Guilt Bug says, "Good morning, all. Good morning, Guilt Bug.
Good morning.
The original Killraven run was crazy fun. We all have our favorites. Unfortunately, the Marvel and DC, the bigger companies, don't want to reprint this material anymore.
I don't understand
to show it off to people. It's very rare that you see a collection of this material.
I mean, I kind of wonder if that has something to do with the fact that they're so invested in the movies and what they're portraying in the movies and TV shows that they don't want people to know these books exist.
So I was thinking that the same thing, but I think a lot of it is just an ambivalence to print anymore.
Yeah.
That everything's all available digitally, but you have to pay. It's all behind a paywall. All the DC and Marvel material is all behind a paywall. So,
and even then, it's like unless you know how to really store those digital files, they technically don't belong to you. Like you're paying.
Yeah.
It's like the whole controversy with Amazon. It's like where they were just pulling books from people's libraries.
Yep.
Because they lost like there was some copyright thing or whatnot, and all of a sudden books people paid for were gone.
You are at the mercy of the corporate platform.
Yeah.
And if they decide to yank that book, you lose it. Whether you might have paid for it, you don't have it now.
No. But you're licensing it now.
Licensing it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not even buying it.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. But that's part of my problem with digital in the first place. Comicology and drive through. It's like it's only as good as the computer system you have them stored on.
Right. Yeah.
Or your phone that you have them stored, or wherever you have them stored. And after you lose that device, because everybody gets encouraged to update every 5 to 6 years maximum.
Yeah.
You lose all of that material unless you can transfer it over. Look at all that money you're handing over to those corporations for nothing, for an electronic file that you can burn out within 5 to 6 years and then still not have. Where you could go out before, you could buy a $15 Essentials or a $16 Showcase Presents, get 25 issues in black and white of a book or a product or a character, and to sit on your shelf forever for your great grandkids to sit there and who's Elongated Man? Well, here, take a look. This used to be.
That's another reason why I'm looking forward to conventions is looking for these books.
Well, they're going to get harder and harder to find because there's nothing coming out now.
Yeah.
And and then they wonder why the anime and manga are taking over the top graphic novel list when Marvel and DC, even though it's the same superhero material, has all of their back issues behind a paywall, but you can go over to Shonen Jump and read all the manga you want for nothing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And just eat those properties, get to know those properties, get acquainted with these IPs, and then just sit around and wonder how come Marvel's not selling the way that it used to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just weird. It's like, it's like, I don't know. It's like business people are weird.
Well, they're it's all become corporate and numbers.
Right.
And right now, comics aren't generating because the market has been so stifled and eroded. They're not generating enough numbers to make these big wigs at the larger corporations see that they can be profitable.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for a lot of little money as opposed to one great big money.
Right, but they want the great big money.
They want the short term because they have to prove to their stockholders every quarter that they're worth their value, instead of going, we've got this book here that's constantly been making $10 for us every month or whatever. Now it's making 20.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that doesn't match the fact that we just kicked out a movie that made 20 million.
Right.
Yeah.
That cleared 20 million in profit. Oh, well, that's great. But all the little money adds up faster than the big money hits, especially if you're doing it right. That's the way it's supposed to work.
I think Disney had like a stockholder meeting like recently or whatnot, but I was watching an update of it, and even like they're going to that, like across the board, they're going to that model about shrinking their audience, but purposefully shrinking their audience, but getting the most money out of them.
Isn't that ridiculous though?
And it's like it's
flawed thinking.
It really is. It's like they're talking about, in this case, it was they were talking about the theme parks, and they were talking about like how like what the lockdowns showed them is how they can get people, their customers, to jump through all these hoops and not really affect their bottom line. So now they're kind of like wanting to implement permanently some of the COVID restrictions so that they can shrink. I know they can shrink the amount of people that come to the parks, because now it's like it's inconvenient to go. And then still raise the prices, but still offering less. Right. And then it's like going to the theme parks is kind of like an elite experience where it's like, we want less people to come, but we want them to spend more of their money. And it's like, it's the same thing with comics, where it's like, we want less people, we're shrinking the market, but for some reason we want them to spend more money on our products too.
That's a very interesting one that I've seen grow exponentially in the gaming industry with, season passes and all kinds of downloadable content, but especially in the mobile gaming industry, they no longer talk about, what the game is going to be like. It's about how much money they're going to make off of advertisement. And, they're purposefully putting in all these gambling mechanics.
Which is technically illegal, but for some reason, no one...
technically illegal. But like they're not doing it for the average player. They're doing it for the money whales.
Exactly. Not in our state anymore. They just changed the laws, so they have online gambling all over the place now.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like, but the thing is, though, you like at least online gambling. Like we're talking about video games where a lot of this is marketed towards kids.
Yes.
So it's like they're literally marketing gambling with the loot crates and all that. With the in-game in-app purchases, that they're marketing that to kids. So that's where like it's supposed to be illegal. I mean, YouTube got their asses handed to them with something similar to this. With advertising to children without saying that it was advertising. So. But it's just all about purposefully shrinking the market and just getting the same money out of them.
And unfortunately, the governmental offices are starting to follow the same theory. So like our Secretary of State, now you have to have a 3-month appointment in advance before you can get anything done. The governmental offices, you have to call or not call, but you have to get online and make an appointment, even though now all of the restrictions are disappearing.
Right.
Those restrictions are not going anywhere because they found that it's cheaper for them. They only have to hire so many people. They can cut their overhead to nothing. And whatever they do with all that extra money is,
Right. Which is like, hey, jerk offs. That's my money. I want my shit open.
And then, like I said, the same with the big corporations. They're going to be sitting around in a while, scratching, wondering why they're not making the same amount of money they used to.
Right. Yeah. Because that's because what's funny is that luxury retail learned this lesson the hard way. Where it's like you cannot cater to the 1% because you're not going to it's only 1%.
And especially now with the amount of especially now with the amount of social cancellation that you see happen. Your brand may have one thing that somebody gets upset at. Suddenly your brand is dirt and nobody's making any money off of that. It's like they're putting all it's the whole proverbial eggs in one basket, and it's I don't and then mainstream
in mainstream comics has the nerve to look at manga and it's like going, hey, what is this now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
did that happen? How did that happen?
Yeah.
Why is this? Yeah.
But
wisely, you have to admit, manga, My Hero Academia.
Right. Yeah.
Boom, they're superheroes. Oops.
Right. Yeah.
How come everybody's watching that?
Right.
How come everybody's running over there? Well, guess what? They go where the quality is. They go where the entertainment value is.
But the irony about My Hero Academia is that it's a flop in Japan. Because Japan doesn't really have this.
Oh, it's huge over here because it's that demographic.
Yeah. Because also the artist is such a huge fan of Marvel and DC. That's the irony of it. Like, here's a dude who's a fan of Marvel and DC creating a superhero comic that flopped in Japan, but outsells Marvel in DC, his influences here.
And the worst thing is, like, as a non-superhero, like, I don't like superheroes at all. I follow My Hero Academia.
Right.
I follow the anime.
Yeah.
I'm after this is over, I'm gonna watch the episode that I missed so far. Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of weird because JD watches it, and I sometimes get kind of wrapped up in it too, and it's like, there's just something about the storytelling that even though it's superheroes, it kind of sucks me in, and it's
what
like,
it is.
What is it that again, it's the accessibility of the story.
I have
the exact same thing happened to me with the wife's General Hospital.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I actually know why it pulls people in so much, because it's essentially exactly the same hero's journey as Naruto did. In fact, it's so close to Naruto that you can put some of the intro songs and intros intros next to one another, and you will literally get the same intro.
Right.
It's the same animation, the same stocks. It's literally the same.
Yeah, the same beats, and it's it's like, I don't understand why that's complicated. That seems complicated.
It's not that complicated.
Kind of, I don't know. It's like dumb money decisions.
Yeah, but it's working.
If it makes money, there's no dumb money decision.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as it's making money. And of course, Jake has to point out there can only be one.
Oh, well, yeah. I have, I have little graphics for Jake, just for Jake on my live stream. So.
Jake, I don't remember it being faded at all. I was very impressed with the package.
There you go.
The hardback books. It might just be a print run that you ended up with where the black ink was running low. It's in black and white, so yeah. Nausicaa hardbacks I'm referring to. Yeah, yep. Same here. I'll have to go back and take a look, but I don't remember it being faded at all. But if it did, I know it didn't affect the story at all. So they did do a Killraven Essentials, yes, and try to find it.
Right.
I found copies at cons for $5 a hit. I bought all of them that I could find. I gave them away as Christmas presents. Hey, have you read this? This is to all the guys that I thought would enjoy it. Hey, have you read this? If you haven't read this, here, look at this. It's great. Then it gets really silly and goofy, and then it gets phenomenal. So just go through and read it.
That's another thing, that even the essential books and those huge collector tomes that Marvel and DC puts out, they limit them. They're all limited printing. And that's
because there's only so many that they could. There was a certain price break.
Right.
And that's what they worked to. They worked to that price break. And then once they were done because it was all newsprint books nobody really cared about. Right. A lot of that stuff ended up in warehouses. I got shipped out to the end run stores, your Big Lots, your Ollie's, that kind of thing. Right. They're, like I've said here on the program before, there's a couple of there was a long stretch of time there. I was walking out of Ollie's with boxes full of books.
Yeah.
And I was giving them away at my shows. The kids were loving it. Here's a set of Newsboy Legion. Don't know who the Newsboy Legion is? You're gonna love this. Here. Just sit and read it. It's large. There's a superhero in it, a group of kids in it. You're gonna, it takes place back during your grandparents' era or your great grandparents' era anymore. And you're gonna love it.
I mean, but even like the new stuff, like I said, the channels where they're slabbing everything.
Yeah.
Like, another thing that they talk about the collectability of is those huge omnibuses.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's like Marvel and DC really do not want any of their work to be accessible. Because like they're talking about their books, $100 books going out of print. So now you look for it online, it's $500. It's like, what are you doing?
They don't care. They don't care. And yet also, not to point the finger just at Marvel, one thing that really threw me was Wednesday Comics that DC did. DC did a newspaper back when I was doing the Flint Comics and Entertainment. They did a newspaper that they were kicking out weekly called Wednesday Comics, and they stopped that as soon as they had enough to do a coffee table book. They were done.
Right.
They stopped that line. They said they were thinking about doing another one, but I know how much per unit they had in each one of those papers that they were selling for $4 a hit. Jeez. And they made money. They're not telling me they didn't. The retailers made money. There was some beautiful artwork in that. The top-notch creators that they could get working on the stuff at the time, they even paid them higher rates because they knew that they wanted them to take more time working on that material. I know they still made money on that product, but they didn't bother to keep doing it. They should have kept doing it permanently because even if the retailers weren't clearing enough money on it, they would eventually, because they would build up that constant customer base, people walking in, picking up their comics and then picking up a copy of Wednesday Comics at the same time, even as an impulse. Because that folded out into a large tabloid size, old style newspaper about the size of what you would get back in the 1940s, and had big full page Sunday page equivalent of the old style Sunday pages of one of your characters on there with a story that was always continuing, and it came out every week. So you got another installment every week. It was really a great product that they just mowed over, and just, like I said, as soon as they had enough, they did a big coffee table book of it for $75 and they were done. You can't find that coffee table book around anymore at all.
Nope.
I've got a couple copies of each book over here. I was real worried that they were going to keep doing it because it's a newspaper. It looked like Flint Comics. But it was such a great idea. I'm like, well, they're going to figure out they're making tons of money off of this and just keep going. Nope, they stopped it.
Nope. Yeah,
after a couple of months, they were done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great way to build up an audience just to poop on them.
Right. Exactly. It's the Netflix model.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get people attached to a show and then just cancel it after like the second season.
Oh, you're talking Jupiter Legacy?
Well, yeah. We were just talking about that yesterday because JD was livid when he found that out, because he was like, well, you know what? It's like, why am I even bothering to spend money on Netflix if everything that I enjoy on Netflix, they're just going to cancel anyway. So why bother with that investment?
The exact same thing happened to the Fox network.
Yeah,
because they would come out, and NBC, the main networks, do the same thing. They get a show rolling, and you're into it, and you're going, oh, this is really interesting. And you're starting to tell your buddies about it. Hey, are you watching Debris? Is a good example on NBC. Debris, interesting show. Weird things are happening. It's kind of like X-Files. It's kind of like Fringe. You need to sit and watch it. Boom, cancel.
Right.
Like, why are we watching this?
Right, yeah.
Might as well go through and delete the episode you haven't seen, because the story is never going to be completed.
Right, so, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, so it's like, why even put in that personal investment if you're just gonna have the rug pulled out from under you?
Well, the thing with Jupiter's Legacy is you could see this, in my opinion, the story was very derivative of a standard superhero book, but it was very tight. They were doing a lot of flashbacks. They were actually moving the story along, and you could see that there was money in the production. There were people there that actually cared about what they were doing. They had some higher range actors doing these parts, even though they were dressed in spandex and standard superhero outfits. And there had to have been a time where these characters walked out in their outfit and they went, I'm actually going to be filmed in this. Oh no. Oh, this is ridiculous looking. But it worked, and it worked incredibly well. And the superhero, they had one, I think, really big supervillain fight right in the first couple of episodes. That was amazing. I'm sitting there watching this going, wow, they really poured some money into this. This is pretty cool. This is pretty awesome. Oh my goodness. But the story itself, because I've read superhero books all my life, I'm sitting there going, okay, it's all right. I see where you're going and with this, and that's kind of interesting. And you have a family dynamic working and that kind of thing. But I was probably just as angry as JD when you found out that it was done, even though, there was a lot of the same tropes being retreaded on TV. You're not seeing, those tropes very often. It was good to see. Another show that I'm really loving right now that I'm really worried could go to pot at any moment is Superman and Lois. And that's also a show where the superheroics in it are top notch. The effects are really great, but it's a family drama. Lois and Clark are married. They have a set of twins, and they brought in a character from another universe, another multiverse that jumped universes over where their Superman was evil. And he's looking at the current Superman going, this guy's just going to destroy the world if you let him, because he's going to get corrupted, not realizing his morals and ethics base was completely different from the previous the Superman on his world. He's just assuming that this guy is going to get corrupted. So it's not just a superhero story. It's not just a family drama, but it's a story about morals and ethics and upbringing and caring. And this Superman was raised completely different from your Superman. And you better get used to that fact, because there's some crazy stuff that's going to happen. The same thing that tore apart your world is now looking like it's tearing apart our world, and we need to try to stop it. And if you don't start having a little faith in this guy's upbringing, then, you're not going to work with him, and you're not going to help him, cool. The world from being destroyed. It's a real interesting show. Plus the kids, there's a set of twins that don't look anything alike one another, and they're polar opposites in emotion and even in looks. But one of the twins is starting to display powers, and that having to deal with that, and the other one has to be normal, and Lois is trying to tell him that I've been normal all my life, and I've had to put up with this as soon as I've started having a relationship with a super being. This is the trouble that you have to go through.
But again, that's that accessible story, because it doesn't necessarily. I mean, superheroes is just a thing. It could be anything that like one spouse is able to do with the other spouse. I mean, we hear that all the time about creative couples, or where one is creative and the other one isn't, and it's kind of like, and they have to mitigate that. So it's really a metaphor for family life in general. But it's a very fascinating treatment of it, and especially of the Superman mythos, because for the longest time you were looking at the God complex, right? And then the Boy Scout complex. Well, the guy's just an idiot because he's got all these power. He's super smart too. You forget all about what the fact that he was a Superman means that everything is heightened, not just his ability to lift things or to shoot beams out of his eyes, but he's also quite intelligent. But that also says something about the person saying that. It's like, oh, if you're a Boy Scout, you're stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
or if you have morals, you're an idiot. Yeah.
More about you than you are about the person you're.
That's very true.
As far as
very true.
Yeah.
But I'm surprisingly enjoying that show, because CW has stumbled over their feet so many times on their programming. Stargirl's been a lot of fun also. So their last two series have been fun. And the cool thing about Superman is that when they first introduced that actor playing Superman in the Supergirl show, I looked at him, I said, this guy's a milquetoast. He's got nothing. He's terrible. Why did they even cast this guy? They kept the same actor when they started doing Superman and Lois. And I'm like, what's up? But somewhere between Supergirl and him getting his own show, that somebody must have sat down and said, look, this is what Superman does. This is how Superman acts. This is how watch this Christopher Reeve movie.
Right, exactly.
Forget the hokey parts. Look at the character. This is a character. And
and Christopher Reeve is not somebody who looks like Chris Evans. No. I mean, it was just a different type of hotness at the time. It's just. But
when you see Superman the movie, at least when I did back in the 80s, drove my ex crazy because we watched it twice in a row. she's getting up to leave. I said, "Where are you going? We're watching this again. This is
right,
amazing."
exactly. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know how many times I watched because it used to run on rotation on HBO.
We got the afternoon. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
once you get past the goofy Lex Luthor and call me Mr. Luthor.
Oh, no.
Ned Beatty
part of it.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
I really recently sat through Superman 2, and I'm like going, I liked this movie when it was out at the theater. What the heck happened to this film? Just terrible, just hokey and just really bad. But Christopher Reeve made that character. His acting ability when he stands up straight and his Superman is amazing compared to when he's acting as Clark Kent.
Yeah.
So it really drove home the dual identity for me. That this guy on Lois and Clark, or Superman and Lois, I should say. Lois and Clark's a whole different show. That's Dean Cain. But this guy now that's playing Superman, when you watch him, you're like going, yeah, that's Superman. Right. That's cool. Where before on Supergirl, it's like, who's this milquetoast idiot? You know, this weakling so-and-so. And I'm sure he didn't buff up much more for the part, but he's figured out how to portray it and how to act it. And he acts, in my mind, like Superman. Right, and he's running into all the problems that a father would have trying to raise kids, especially teenage kids, One kid's all angsty and the other kid's all athletic. And then the angsty kid is the one who ends up getting the powers. So suddenly the angsty kid is super athletic and the athletic kid's the milquetoast and it's getting all angsty. And it's really a fascinating show. Huh. Much to CW's credit, by the way.
Right. Now it just needs to be canceled.
That would surprise me.
Yeah.
That they're going in some really interesting directions on it. Yeah, exactly.
Better cancel it.
Impossible.
Impossible. We can't have that.
Well, it's fascinating to see because for the longest time, there's a set of characters that they wouldn't let CW play with. And one of those was Superman because the Warner's was saving these characters for the movies. So you never saw Batman, you never saw Superman, you never saw Wonder Woman, you never saw Aquaman. Well, you saw Aquaman in Smallville. But a lot of these the bigger tier characters, they wouldn't let them play with. And now they're starting to let them play a little bit. And now that they got those toys in the sandbox, they're like going, this is how can we make a Superman show interesting? Which they've had that problem in the comics for the last 30 years. How do you show Superman as being interesting? Well, it's not a Superman show. It's a family drama.
Right.
With Superman in it.
That's the difference. The difference in thinking. Yeah.
Yep. And it's very, very fascinating to see. So anyway, off of that soapbox. Hey, here we go.
No, I don't think that was a soapbox. That was just
no.
The Killraven Essentials is out of print, yes. And if you find the Killraven, the Conan, or the Godzilla Essentials, definitely pick them up because you'll never see them again.
Wow, it's a shame. It really is a shame on how much we're losing because of that. Yeah.
Yep. There's a whole string of Tomb of Dracula essentials out there that are worth your time because you get this beautiful Gene Colan, Tom Palmer artwork around a phenomenal Marv Wolfman story that even though some of it's a little dated, I mean, Blade, come on, Shaft, okay. But it's still very enjoyable stuff. Yeah. So.
You know, and that's the thing too that we all have to realize. Just because something is dated doesn't mean that we don't understand why it's dated, and we still can enjoy it anyway.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
as long as that entertainment value is up there.
Right. Exactly. It's like it's like, you know, this whole trend of like, oh, it's dated, so it has to be completely erased from the history is absolutely ridiculous, and it does a disservice to the creative mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really does.
You have to understand the context of the time that it was made, but yeah, there's so much classic material out there that's being overlooked. Jack Cole, Plastic Man, a lot of the Black Hawk material. Granted, there's a bad stereotype there,
right?
A lot of that material is phenomenal.
Dialogue in Conan can get a little rapey.
Oh, more than just a little.
You know,
he's a barbarian.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, look, I understand what's going on here. Okay, it's like, I can still enjoy it.
Like, I got a couple of. I actually picked up a couple of really old comics from a secondhand store, and they're from the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
So, and there were some remarks about black people that I will never ever say on the radio or wherever.
and would
You know?
absolutely never fly today.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not
Oh,
even
no.
remotely acceptable.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know,
It,
but
it
the thing
actually
about
made me
like,
sit down like, oh shit.
but you haven't
Yeah, but
seen it in a while. You know?
it's
like,
also a testament. Every last one of those
right.
is a testament on how we've evolved and grown
Yeah,
as a culture
exactly.
Exactly.
to be more accepting and more, not just more accepting, but more empathetic, but to
Right.
realize the flaws and the
Right.
lack of empathy back then,
Yeah.
and the bad
Yes.
stereotyping and the,
Right. Yeah.
you know, the wife and I were sitting and watching Laugh-In. We went through the entire
Oh.
run of the old Ron and Martin Laugh-In, and that's filled with wrong humor.
Oh, you know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
The Muppet Show.
What we would consider nowadays to be
yes.
absolutely wrong humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the Muppet Show is filled with really, really questionable skits. And
Yeah.
it's like a
Oh,
mean
yes.
JD will like look, it's like, oh, that like we would play a game where if we got the warning at the beginning of the episode, we would
look for
try
it.
to guess which
Yep.
skit was the one that triggered it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The same thing with Laughing.
Yeah.
There's something coming.
Like, oh,
There's something that
one.
you're not supposed to be seeing.
Yeah, that's the one.
Ooh,
When they all-
yeah.
They all come out and do a musical number in blackface. You know that
Right.
was there.
Oh,
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah,
Except for the black person on the cast who comes out in whiteface.
right. But the thing is though, it's like, but the thing is though, the fact that we are having that reaction to it means
Mhm.
that we do understand what's wrong with
Exactly.
Yes.
We've
So,
realized the culture,
yeah.
not just the culture, but everybody's thinking
it. Right.
has or should have evolved.
Right. Yeah.
You know, up to a more empathetic sense
Yeah,
of understanding
Exactly.
and acceptance of other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
There's some serious things going on in the chat right now.
Bristolian says, "All right, me bebbers."
Hey.
All right, me babas.
Jake says, "They're surprise mechanics." Wink, wink.
Oh,
They want to keep you playing.
Hey, oh, Dave. Sounds like the best after Bristolian Dave. Sounds like the best after shave you can buy. Yes. The Nausicaa books made me question if I needed to get glasses.
Oh no! You know what book made me do
just
that?
a bad part of print run.
Yeah, the books that really made me do that was the Mobius reprints. I was trying to read the Incal, and I do not understand why they had to do the lettering in like 3-point. Right?
Which Mobius reprints are you reading? The Incal?
The Incal. Yeah, I don't know how it's pronounced either. Yeah,
which prints? The one from IDW?
I don't remember which one, but all I know is that the lettering was so small. And mind you, the word balloons were huge. So it's not like they couldn't have upped the point size, but I had to turn on all the lights. I had to squint. It's like, what is with this lettering?
Well, there's a whole series of Mobius reprint books that Epic Comics did back in the 80s, I believe it was, where they went through and reprinted all of his esoteric material and then went through and reprinted a lot of his Blueberry material. Just phenomenal work, beautiful colors, and whoever was editing at the time, whether it was either probably Rick Marshall or Archie Goodwin that was editing, really knew and appreciated the material. And if you ever get a chance to find those at their magazine size, if you ever find those at conventions, I promise you each one is worth at least $20 or $30, no matter what they have stamped on them. Because they're not reprinted, or that material took forever to get reprinted if it has been reprinted, and it's done with a level of care and love that was, the people that were doing Epic at the time knew primo work and treated it like the work of a master, and did a nice paper, beautiful trade dress on it, just phenomenal stuff. They're some of the prides of my collection, and I still go back and look at them pretty often. So, but you can't find them. I mean, I know IDW reprinted Inkle later on, but a lot of that material.
If that was it, because like I said, the what was so far, the word balloon's like this big, and the lettering is like that in it. So you have all this space. It's like, what are you doing? I can't read this.
Could increase that a good 10 points and made it more enjoyable.
That's like a manga fan dub.
Yeah, no, it really like someone who doesn't know how to do graphics.
Exactly.
Hey, Joe, you're sitting here. Adapt
Right,
this. This
exactly.
is the script. Just put the words in the balloons. It's
Yeah,
all good.
You can use
exactly.
aerial
Right,
size.
yeah, it looks big on the
fine.
screen. It looks big on the
Yeah,
screen.
that's fine.
Hey,
You know,
is 6 point going to work for this?
Yeah.
16 point? Yeah. That's good. Use that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was horrible. Yeah, it was really it was an ordeal to read because
Says, oh, and no, not those funny Groucho ones.
the glasses. You need glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say, Marx Brothers movies still hold up, even though a
Yeah.
lot of it's, shall we say, hardcore rapey.
But again, we understand, or at least we're supposed to.
LJ says, I found Realm number 3 in Ollie Comics. What?
Yeah.
Ollie's? Not Realm, not the original Realm number 3. That must be Caliber Collection or something. And also okayed Blackthorn comics in those 10 packs. Oh, wow. Okay.
Blackthorn.
Yeah, the Ollie 10 packs were a little crazy. If you can find them still bound together, the majority of times, at least at our local one, somebody went through and broke into a bunch of them and I guess took the 10 that they wanted.
Right. Well, it's like an egg carton.
If you know where to look, Amazing Adventures, the original Killraven line with the Killraven run generally ends up under $3 an issue. Well, yeah, that's probably true because they don't know what they have.
Right.
That's why I always tell folks, if you've got an afternoon and your local retailer has a large back stock, you need to go. You need to go and spend that time, dust off his long boxes or his magazine boxes for him and go take a look through that material, because majority of the time that retailer hasn't taken the time to do proper pricing on that stuff. And you could find like an Eerie and Creepy for $3 to $6. And all of that material is more than worth it right now, a lot more than worth the $3 or $6 that you would end up paying for it. So the early Vampirellas with Morodo, just beautiful material. Just the Creepy and Eries are always worth sitting through. Even the 1984s, if you have to, from Warren magazine. That some of that gets a little rough, but they're in the middle of that roughness. You're going to find a phenomenal run of Alex Nino or something like that. That's graphically so incredible to look at that it's well worth your time to do that. If you know where to look yet, or said that. Yep. Omnibuses are for 40-year-olds. I know that sounds rude, but it's hard truth pill to swallow.
Right. If you're talking about the modern ones, it's like, because it's like they are definitely not selling those to be accessible to the average reader.
Jake, and as somebody that's a little north of 40, I can tell you they're not made for 40-year-olds.
Yeah, because they're too heavy.
They're way too heavy.
They hurt our back.
You can't sit on the toilet and enjoy reading one.
Right, exactly. There's a Conan omnibus where it's like they only printed this thing for the novelty, for the novelty of it, because the thing is literally like this thick. And it's like kind of, you put it on your lap, it stops the circulation. I don't even look at it. It's like you just have it there to have it there. Like, what's even the point?
Yep, to fill space on that bookshelf.
Yeah.
Yep, that's about it. Where on the other hand, you go through and any Showcase Presents that used to come out, I would pick up even if I hated the character, because I'd say there's a reason they printed this Showcase Presents. Right. And 9 times out of 10, you'd figure out why once you got it home and started reading through it and going, oh, this is really good. So The War That Time Forgot, awesome Showcase Presents book. All goofy World War II dinosaur stories.
There you go. Because World War II dinosaurs, which
nothing cooler for a kid than seeing a jet fighter fighting a pterodactyl. That's awesome.
And that's also something that just seems to be missing now. That you can only find that ridiculousness in crowdfunding.
Little spark in the eye, yeah.
Just being able to be out, just ridiculous in comics. It's like, here we have a medium where we can do whatever we want, and most people are just using it as a stepping stone to Netflix, which is going to cancel you after the first season anyway. So.
Yeah,
even if you get that far. I mean, they paid Mike Millar $10 million up front just to get the rights to all of his stuff.
And they're just like, oh well, this didn't work, so we're going to move on to the next project. Yeah. You know what kids really want to see? Super villains. So let's concentrate on super crooks. Yeah. Well, what's funny though is that's also another thing that's kind of missing too. A good villain. That's like everyone is
Yes.
going more for like the esoteric, kind of, it's like, oh, it was, it was really you all along type of thing,
Well,
fighting your own internal demons. Like, no, I want a villain that just wants to like take over the world for no reason whatsoever.
Exactly. I don't care about the flaws.
Right. Yeah. It's like, what, really? It's like, I was just remembering this from the Cruella movie that just came out. It's like, really? We needed an entire movie to explain why Cruella just wanted to make a coat out of Dalmatian puppies? Really?
That, by the way, is bombing incredibly bad.
It should, because it's stupid as hell. Because really, it's like we needed, it's like Cruella needed an origin story. Look, it's like, it's fashion. They do shit for just because it's neat.
Yeah.
It's like, really, I needed an entire trilogy of movies to explain, Maleficent. No, she's a fairy queen. She wanted to off a baby because she didn't get a royal invite. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Make people bad people.
Yeah.
Show them that people can be bad for no bloody reason.
For no reason whatsoever. It's like, I don't need to have everything, every little minutia explained. I mean, it's like like the basis for this interest I have in villains comes from I, Claudius. You don't have to explain to me why Caligula is Caligula. I don't need to know all his trauma. He's just Caligula.
Let villains be villains. Let them be bad guys. Let us actually root for the hero.
Exactly. It's like, what? I'm not concerned about redemption arcs and and things like that. I mean, it's like
also Zot comics.
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that I just can't stand right now.
Well, again, that's because they're straying so far away from the heroic structure.
Yeah.
That it's sad and it's pitiful, and it really needs to. That's all part of entertainment. It needs to get back to that. Even you go back to the old stage shows. You had the Snidely Whiplashes and the guys with the thin mustaches and the I'm evil. The boo. That's the bad guy.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You didn't care his motivation. You knew he was a bad guy.
Catch the pigeon.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's like it's the simplicity of it. It's like not everybody has to be. Oh, we have to expose their traumas and this, that, and the other thing.
That's because you're doing it wrong, Jake. If it aged you almost 20 years, just don't take them onto the toilet. You're gonna have to lay them on a flat surface.
Yeah, exactly. That's
the coolest omnibuses I've run across outside of the Scotty Young Oz collection, which was incredible. That, by the way, Marvel blew out through Diamond at an incredibly low rate. That if you knew the right retailer and hey, I'll give you $10 over your cost if you order this book for me. Great deal. But there was a set of monster omnibuses out there where they finally reprinted in large mass volumes all the old Where Monsters Dwell, Where Creatures Roam, all of these little short stories that were really the main inspiration for The Thing in Fantastic Four that Ditko and Kirby had done. Just amazing brain check material. Just really cool stuff. If you get a large book of that, you're gone for a day. Pretty much. Omnis don't really make it easy for younger readers. No, they don't. And that's the problem. That's exactly what we were talking about.
It's not for that. It's for older collectors, and even then they're just going to put it on their coffee table and just ignore it.
Well, stick it on a shelf. Hey, there it is. Yeah,
exactly.
I got all the Captain Americas. Look at that. How many times have you?
Yeah, it's like it's for shelfies. It's like that's what it's for.
And sadly,
that you look good on Instagram.
And sadly, whoever was doing the DC archives knew that and took hardcore advantage of that. And a lot of them books look horribly traced when you actually open them up and look into them. And it's really sad to see that whoever they had trying to do the reproduction on that, a lot of times they either did it on the fly or did it in a hurry or weren't getting paid enough per page to actually give a crap. And it really turned out some substandard, horrible looking stuff. When you look at it and you go, I know those originals don't look like that. I know they don't.
And that's incredibly, and that's the worst part too, because it's like, then you're looking at that artwork and going, really, what was the big deal with it? And it's like, why? And then you realize that it's like, it was a hack job that was done on top of because that was also the thing that I was coming across when I was finding all the Frank Thorne work and the John, like finding the pencils.
Mhm.
You know, because I guess, you know, like Heritage Auction or something, they would have the pencils to all these Conan covers, and it was just like night and day as to what actually got printed and what the pencils looked like. So that's like adds another layer of study to it. Like it's like, wait a minute, it's like, is this the same artwork?
That's actually
a lot of that's true with. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Like in Europe, pencils sell, like original pencils sell for more than inks.
Right, I could imagine.
Because
I can see that, yeah.
and especially you know, the more extravagant ones, you would have the colorist that would take over the pencils, you know, with watercolors and everything, and afterward it would just get traced on the outlines with black with normal black ink.
Right.
So the detail was always in the pencil, in the pencils and the coloring.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really glad that I got the pencils for Rich Parada's variant cover, because that's gonna be on my wall.
There we go.
Yeah.
Batman Black and White Omnibus, 800 pages for 101 US dollars on Amazon. At the moment, Berserk Deluxe 1 runs up the same page count, but for 44 USD.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like if you buy
takes me back a bit.
Yeah, and if you can buy Berserk on DCBS for like $30 or something, so you can get it even cheaper. Yeah.
Yep, that's talking about the omnibus prices. That's too much. I like the Essential Showcase black and white newspaper editions. I do too. Yep, I've got bookcases dedicated to them back behind me. One bookcase for Showcase Presents, another bookcase filled with essentials.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, some of those are hit periods and Marvel that were just atrocious and terrible, but it's still worth the $15 to pick them up. You know, and to have them, just to have them for the set. But on a large omnibus, you're never going to convince me to spend that kind of money for stuff during that period.
Let's see.
And
it's Empyrean says, "I love Ned Beatty. Coming, Mr. Luthor, coming." Yeah, it does. At the time,
you
know, it seemed all right, but we were just barely 10, 15 years out of the Adam West Batman too. So anyway, essentials are generally around 15 or so. The out of print ones can be priced higher, but I don't get those usually. Yeah. Well, if you're looking at shows, a lot of the there was a large blowout through Diamond of a lot of the essential material. So just keep your eyes open when conventions start back up. There are a lot of book dealers out there that have been blowing them out for $5-10.
That's how I got a bunch of Conan phone books. It's like for $5 a piece.
Like I said, I bought them for Christmas presents and to give them away as door prizes at the at conventions. You know, a lot of that stuff is more than worth the price of admission. They're already greenlit the Cruella sequel. I sincerely doubt that's going to go through.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Not with what I've heard of the lack of money that they've pulled down on that. They might have tried to greenlight it, and then you'll probably see them stop it here real quick.
That's all they needed to know. It's like Cruella wanted a Dalmatian dog coat because why not? It's fashion, you know. It's like, that's it.
I actually like. If you've read the original story on 101 Dalmatians, because it was originally a book, the reason that the writer wrote the entire thing was because one of her friends, after the writer got a litter of Dalmatians, went, "Those would make a very nice fur coat."
Oh no!
And that's literally where the entire thing came from.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all it took.
That's all it took, you know.
But
someone making a very bad remark.
Yeah, and Jake was saying how, like, was it Jake that says that the villains are canceled? And it's like, it's the stupidest thing. I mean, villains are villains, and it's like, it's like, they have to be misunderstood, and it's like, no, it's like,
they don't.
It's like we have this discomfort right now of people just being mean for no reason. Like, there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. It's like, no, people don't need a reason to be assholes.
All you got to do is get on Twitter and you can see that.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yes.
Every freaking day. People don't have to have motivation to be assholes.
Yeah, no, really, because that's it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's easy to be mean. So yeah, you don't need a lot to do it. So yeah, bring me back my nasty villains.
Show them why the moral is bad, not why the moral is there in the first place.
Right. It's like, look, bring me back Skeletor sitting back on his throne going, what can I do to be evil today and bother He-Man? It's like, give me that back.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Empyrean, when you ask what is the Detroit method.
No, that's a remark from Varian, who said found out about a publishing technique last night called the Detroit method.
No, I
have no idea.
Didn't see that.
It's a little bit up in the chat. It should still be on the front page.
I would approach Varian with that question because I have no idea what he's talking about.
Right method.
Varian, what are you talking about? Is crime involved? We're talking about Detroit here.
Yeah. Well, that's a stereotype, dude. You never know. That's like saying there's a Flint method because we have 2 patches here, one on the north end, one on the east end, that you don't want to drive through at night.
Or Amsterdam, for that matter.
Jake says only reason one turns to a villain is to fuck over others after having fucked up on the road to their goal. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Some people are just mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the thing is, though, it's like, the reason also humanize villains just enough to show you that you could turn into that given the right circumstances.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that, humanize them enough that it's like, oh, maybe you have a point.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, that is exactly the thing.
Sorry. It's like, oh, it's okay. You committed genocide then. You were hurt as a child.
Well, then the last 2 movies shows that there's a justification for lowering the population of a world by 1/2.
Exactly. It's like, what's a little genocide between friends?
Well, the surviving half gets along a lot better. Yeah. That's the story. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
sure.
They don't have to work so hard.
Resources work, but okay.
just show that the villain thinks that they are in the right.
Right. Exactly.
Cruella thought she was in the right because she wanted that thing.
Yeah.
And she thought it would look good on her.
Right. And it was like no big deal. She didn't understand what the big deal was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just killing a few dogs.
Yeah. It's a big deal. Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, we're about ready to close out here. So,
wow,
Mike, Jimmy,
actually spent an entire episode talking about comics. Congratulations.
Almost. We talked about Flynn a little bit and all that. We tried to keep it on that subject, though. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sunday Funnies. Mike, Jimmy, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me on Indiegogo with Life on Korra 4 Inner Talents. That is going to launch next week on a Friday. You can find me also on Indiegogo on the Twisted Fairy Tales, which is currently running on Indiegogo. And go grab that book because besides my comic in there are going to be a lot more stories. And we're looking up to 100 pages. And it's going to be a wonderful, really cool anthology with fairy tales in exactly the way you don't want to read them. You can find me on Twitter at @and_ents. You can find me on Facebook as Mike Jimmy Lorcia de Bruin. You can find me on Facebook as well under Fairies and Ents, fairiesandents.com, and a whole lot of different places. Just look up Mike Jimmy de Bruin. You'll find me. I'm usually found at shows nowadays. I don't know why, but I really enjoy hanging out with people. Apparently, I'm a lot more social than I thought.
You're doing a lot more shows than we are.
Yeah, after a year and a half, I think we're all going to be a lot more social than we are.
Yes.
Oh, so there we go. Jake is putting links in the chat for everybody.
You're awesome. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I was at an open house yesterday and had a niece actually ask if she could hug me, and I'm like, Mom, of course you can.
Yeah.
Come here. Critical Blast says Lex Luthor believes he's saving the world from an alien invasion.
Well, pretty much, yeah. You know,
Nowadays.
this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because
Nowadays,
this was what I think is right.
Yeah. The original motivation behind Lex Luthor, though, was, hey, that Dr. Savannah helps Captain Marvel sell a lot of books. Yeah. Maybe we should have a mad scientist, too.
There we go. Again, stick to the basics.
Very valid reason, yes.
All right.
Stick to the basics.
Wait. Daphne, tell folks where they can find you.
Oh, thank you, Jake, for putting up my links. You can head over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook, and I am currently putting up previews of a short story that I am doing for a future issue of Indie Revolt for the direct market. So if you want to check that out, it's all on Facebook. You can also check out my comic, Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free at egoworks.com, where you can read the first 5 issues. Or if you prefer your fantasy to be more action-oriented, you can head over to Tall Tales, TILSonline.com, and you can read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free as well. And also, you can check out my YouTube channel as to how I make all this artwork at Daphne Lage, Lage Art. So yeah, everything's at egoworks.com, and the links in the chat that Jake is putting on. So thank you.
It's better than the motivation. It's better motivation than Superboy. You blew out the fire, but the chemicals turned me bald.
Right, yeah.
Now I will have to hate you forever.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, God. My hair, my beautiful hair. No, actually, I'm getting a bald spot up there.
Well, and again, they had an evil mad scientist running through Superman that had red hair. And Sylvana in Captain Marvel is bald, so they had to make an excuse to, fry out his hair. So there we go. Because, hey, Savannah, back then, you have to understand how the numbers were falling with Captain Marvel compared to Superman, even though Superman served Fawcett, who was doing Captain Marvel, with a cease and desist in 42. It took them until 46 to start threatening to take them to court after the war, and it still took them until, I think it was 53, for them to settle out of court, because Fawcett decided that they were kind of done printing comics, but they still kept the license for the character, which lapsed. So everybody, once people knew that the name Captain Marvel had lapsed into public domain, or where they thought was public domain, one guy started doing a Captain Marvel book where he could split up into pieces, and Marvel eventually come in, paid that guy off, and said, "Hey, go away. We're going to take that name." And so.
Because if you can't compete, sue them out of existence.
No.
Yeah,
they didn't sue him. They bought him out.
But we're talking about the original Captain Marvel or whatever.
Marvel they were suing him, and the court battle went on for a long time. Yeah. So they ended up settling out of court. Fawcett paid them $200,000 or $300,000, but at that point, it was enough, even back then, just barely to cover their legal expenses for having to go through all the trouble. They still retained the rights to the character, or the rights to print the character, which they squelched. And then after a certain amount of time, they figured that as far as trademarks go, there wasn't a Captain Marvel out on the market. So that one guy, and I don't remember his name.
Trademark works differently.
I did a video, 3 videos actually, on how crazy Captain Marvel is, because the idea, the idea behind Captain Marvel really and started up another half a dozen characters. When Fawcett stopped Captain Marvel, the reprints stopped all around the world, and everywhere around the world, different Captain Marvels sprung up, like Miracle Man, and there was another one in France, and I think Italy had one, exact same character. Kid says a magic word, turns into a Superman type character, but nobody chased after copyrights at that point. So Miracle Man ran for quite a few years over in England and was incredibly popular there for a while, because the idea was sound. Fawcett stopped publication, and most of the talent that was doing Captain Marvel then ran over to DC just as the Comic Code Authority kicked in. And that's why you ended up with Superboy, you ended up with Supergirl, because Mary Marvel was out and was done. It was incredibly popular, and they needed something to help sell books. Let's create a Supergirl. Boom, here we go. So, and there's a lot that you can tie right back to that original Captain Marvel, which I think honestly is why DC trounces that character so badly and misinterprets him so terribly to this day. Well, we'll just call him Shazam because that's what everybody knows him by, instead of trying to come up with some sort of compensation, or Captain Thunder would have worked, but no, let's just call him Shazam. They're just ridiculous. But that's a whole nother soapbox that I can get on for. I did a series of videos over on what's now the Arrow Comics 4.0 channel. If you want to look at that I loved doing, because I love history, and it's so convoluted when it comes to the name Captain Marvel, and how embarrassing it is that his ghosts have come back, and how Marvel even has trounced on the name Captain Marvel so badly over and over and over again, and finally gave it to an absolute mess of a messed up character that they should have started over fresh with, that they decided not to. Well, we'll just keep that Carol Danvers name. Well, do you know what happened to Carol Danvers? No, we don't care. Nobody's going to follow it.
It's a hot mess. That is a hot mess of
major
story.
hot mess. But an awesome tale to tell, and a good video, and an example of just how crazy and cutthroat this business is, and also how tight that chain is as well. Because the guy who was doing the Captain Marvel that split up into different pieces, when he got paid by Captain Marvel, he went out and started his own horror magazine line in order to compete against Warren. And if you've ever gone to shows and you found these goofy comic magazines like Voodoo Tales and Terror from whatever that looked like cheap, badly done imitations of Warren, that's that guy.
Wow, that's funny.
That's awesome.
It's an amazing chain. Comics history is an amazing chain of links built on one on top of the other, on top of the previous person being screwed or seizing a crazy opportunity or being cutthroat with business. Because back when comics first started, there was money in that 10-cent comic book. Lots of money. Lots of people took advantage of that money. Lots of people made money. Lots of people made empires, printing empires off of that money. It's an interesting chain, pretty much a chain of abuse all the way through that runs link by link, even up to modern day in the direct market and image and all of this stuff.
So depending on how you look at it, it's either a chain or a human centipede.
Well, human centipede is a little vicious, but it's probably closer to the centipede part.
Right, yeah.
I'm afraid to say.
Wow, yeah.
There's our link tree for Arrow Comics, folks.
There you
link
go.
Tree, Arrow Comics, easy to find. There's not a lot to see at the moment, but there will be a lot to see here in the upcoming weeks. We have a lot of things to show you, a lot of things to talk about, and a lot of stuff coming out starting in August, a lot of which I'm incredibly proud of. Give this episode a like and share it. If you haven't, please do. Haven't you subscribed? Please subscribe to the Indie Volt Radio Network channel. It's well worth your time. We're really looking for 1,000 subscribers so that we really then have to worry about our content, but we can also take super chats and maybe help Varian pay for this streaming service and the bandwidth that he has to pay for our internet radio. And if you're out there in Radio Land listening to us, we're sorry we don't have numbers exactly from where you're from today. Varian apparently has not gotten out of bed yet, and he has all the equipment over there. But we do know you're out there. We deeply appreciate you, and we are so glad that you've listened in. Please feel free to send comments, questions, or suggestions over to indievolt@indievolt.com. Please put IndieVolt Live in your subject line so Varian is familiar with what it is. I have a card over on the other side. I need to bring it over here. But there's also the IndieVolt Awards that are coming up. IndieVoltAwards.com for more information on that. It's coming at us like a steamroller. We should be within almost 100 days of it happening.
Oh, yeah, for real.
We're all looking forward to the show. It's going to be streamed live. It's live from Dave & Buster's. It's going to be a real award show with products that are judged by a panel of judges. It's not a popularity contest, though. If you want to have your book submitted for consideration, please go over IndieVoltAwards.com. Take a look at the criteria. There's a small fee to be considered, and that fee goes to Autism Speaks. So it's not like we're trying to make money off of you for that consideration. It's just that we're weeding out the non-serious people by bringing on a small fee for your consideration.
And it really
so we don't have
nominal.
to sit through 500. Yeah, it's very nominal.
Yeah.
In order, we really don't want to have 500-600 books that we have to sit and read all at once in order to decide which is better quality than the other. But the award show is given away on merit and not on popularity. So you could have the best quality book that nobody has seen, and we want that book to be awarded and rewarded, because the whole idea of doing the award show is to lift the recognition and quality level, and to point out the quality level that a lot of these independent and alternative products have right now. Especially, there's so much in the marketplace that's being overlooked because there's so much coming out in so many different directions. More and more people are coming into this business all the time, despite what everybody wants to tell you that crowdfunding has passed the hump. It hasn't. The alternative and independent market is growing. It's going to be exploding the next couple of years in a lot of different directions, more than crowdfunding, and you'll be hopefully amazed and come along for that ride. Tell your friends how great comics are. Definitely, as Varian loves to say, leave this industry in a better condition than what you have found it. And we wish you nothing but the best to do that. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter every once in a while. You can find Arrow Comics up there all over through the link tree that we posted, Arrow Comics link tree. Go there, like and share. There's more information coming. I've got more videos that we're going to be working up for the YouTube channel. I want to do one really quick here about what's coming out in August, because a lot of folks don't or aren't aware of our exact line that we're going to be doing. I'm looking forward to getting that out and available to the retailers, all through Liberty Distribution. If you have a book, or if you are a retailer, you definitely want to go over to www.ledg.us and take a look at Liberty Entertainment Distribution. It's a company that Varian owns. In fact, he's probably sleeping in now because he's been growing that company. He just got a large warehouse space a few days ago. Yeah, because he knows that the company is growing and it's going to be exploding here towards the last part of the year. There's a lot of us that are doing product that Liberty Entertainment distributors will be making available for retailers. So if you're a retailer, you want to go over there and take a look, ledg.us, and look at the criteria. Definitely sign in. It's a different kind of distributor, and I know it's rough right now because you're having to deal with 3 different distributors. If you're getting the good discount and the 90-day float from Penguin for Marvel product, or you're having to deal with the DC distributor, you're still having to deal with Diamond. Anyway, ledg.us, Liberty Distribution, different kind of distributor, because when you order from Liberty, you get the books within a couple of days. There's nothing on the Liberty site he doesn't already have on hand. In fact, that's why he's getting a large warehouse. He's going to have a large storage space filled with product ready to go to you. It's not something that you have to order 3 months in advance like Kickstarter and have to worry about whether or not your budget's going to be there at the time that money has to kick out of your account. Definitely go over there and take a look. And in fact, Varian has so much faith in these products. A lot of the books that he's offering have the Liberty Pledge attached to them. If you order books, put them on your shelf and they can't sell or they don't sell and they're still in saleable condition, a lot of times Liberty will take them back in trade for other books that you feel can sell. So go over there and take a look again, ledg.us. Take a look at Life on Chorus starting up on the 11th of July or June. Only a couple days away.
5 days away, I think. Yeah.
5 days away. Life on Cora 4, right?
5 days away. Yes. Life on Cora 4.
Life on Cora 4. There'll be another Tall Tales or Eagle Raven campaign start up shortly.
Yeah, there's always something coming up.
Always something coming up. Yeah. That's the way it works.
Shut up and take my money.
So be looking for Arrow Comics product as well. We just closed out a campaign on the Indie Volt Revolt book. That book is now almost ready to go to press. I've got a little bit more to go on it to finish off the print file. Not much. I keep saying that, but it gets closer every time. And I'm hoping to get that to press by next week. That's going to be 140 pages thick of black and white stories. All of them are amazing and a lot of fun to read. You don't have to have read anything before. picking up that book. I'm really eager to get that out into folks' hands. But that campaign is already closed, so we're sorry you can't buy into it at this point. It's closed, and it'll be fulfilled here within the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to that. Let's see if I'm forgetting anything. We will be back.
Yes, you are forgetting
Tuesday.
something.
I'm forgetting something.
Forgetting something. Yes,
what am I forgetting?
Fold 10 for your Gemini mailers discount.
That's true.
Oh, yes, that's right.
True.
I don't have that. I don't have that card over here either. But yes, GeminiComicSupply.com. If you're into Gemini mailers at all, go over there and use the code VOLT10, VOLT, and the number 10, and you will get 10% off of your order. Thanks to Varian and an arrangement that he's made with the great folks over at Gemini Mailer. So, and if you know this business at all, or if you've shipped anything out or received anything crowdfunded lately, you probably received it from a Gemini Mailer for a reason. And that's because that's the best on the market that you can currently, that you can get. And so go over there, GeminiComicSupply.com, use the code VOLT10 and get 10% off of your order. So order as many as you can, because we don't know how long that code's lasting. So, and now's the time to take advantage of that discount. All right. I think that's it. We're going to be back Tuesday night, pardon me again, at 9 p.m. for the Live Wire broadcast. We'll be back. Wednesday is Geekgasm that Daphne helps MC, where we talk about geekery from hopefully a more feminine perspective. It's kind of ladies' night.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
pretty much ladies' night. There's guys on there.
Sponsored by Smirnoff, if that gives you an idea.
Sponsored by Smirnoff, absolutely. We don't have Smirnoff as a Tuesday night sponsor. So, also Thursday morning, we don't have Smirnoff as a sponsor for that either, but we do need a coffee sponsor. We really do. For Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do the Breakfast Buzz, where we talk about comics in the industry again. Then once more on Sunday morning, we'll be back here again talking about Sunday Funnies, hopefully the more lighter and brighter side of the funny book business, which we love to talk about. We're very happy that you've been with us this morning. Deeply appreciate you all. We've overrun by about 15 minutes, but that's okay.
Well.
So we're going to go out the same way we came in with our opening, and we wish you all the best. Am I forgetting anything? Please don't.
I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's it.
And
we'll catch everybody on the next one.
If we missed anything, we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. All right, everybody, take care. Stay healthy. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Ciao.
We'll see you very soon.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked?